Welcome to Keepers, the fantasy football show for people who are good at the internet. I'm talking to you. I'm Matt Ufford, and together we're going to get through our hatred of Lamar Miller. Let's do this. Start Kenbrell Thompkins. The undrafted rookie got just 4 catches in week 1, but it's the 14 targets you should like. With Danny Amendola almost certainly out for Thursday night's game, Thompkins and Julian Edelman will be Tom Brady's top receiving threats. Side note to the Patriots, get your designer quarterback better accessories. Sit Roddy White. He admitted after his 19-yard performance in week 1 that his high ankle sprain is worse than originally reported. Not the sort of thing you want to hear before going up against Cortland Finnegan and Janoris Jenkins. Start Sam Bradford if you're feeling saucy. I hate to imagine the hellish 16-team, 2-quarterback league that necessitates this call, but Bradford's likely to throw the ball 40-plus times against Atlanta, a team with vulnerability against the tight end. We all saw what Jared Cook did in week 1. Sit Fred Jackson against the Panthers. Yes, he did more with his 17 touches in week 1 than CJ Spiller did with his 22, so you might think that he merits a start. But that revamped Carolina front 7 is nasty. They held Marshawn Lynch to 43 yards on 17 carries in week 1, and I think you'll see him shut down running attacks all year long. Start Deangelo Williams is something I have never said before, but you know what? Let's live dangerously. Buffalo got gashed on the ground all last year, and they gave up 7.2 yards per carry to the Patriots' backup running back in week 1. With Jonathan Stewart injured, only Cam Newton and Mike Tolbert can steal his red zone carries. Man, we are rolling the dice with this one. Okay. Sit the Giants defense. I can't help you if you were foolish enough to draft this unit, but I can recommend you not play them against a team that just hung 7 touchdowns on the Super Bowl champs. Start Michael Floyd. He's got 295 yards receiving in his last 3 games dating back to last year, and with Detroit focused on neutralizing Larry Fitzgerald, he should see more opportunities to succeed against rookie Darius Slay, just like Jerome Simpson did against the Lions in week 1. Start the Bengals D against Pittsburgh. Marquise Pouncey knee surgery plus lousy running backs equals Geno Atkins blowing up plays in the backfield. Expect some sacks and turnovers from Cincy after a quiet week 1 in Chicago. That was a little hit and miss with week 1 starts and sits. Those of you who started T.Y. Hilton were surely disappointed with his 3 catches for 20 yards, but I did say to sit Mike Wallace, who finished with just 1 catch for 15 yards. But all that stuff pales in comparison to my preseason advice about the Eagles. I said Lesean Mccoy was a top 3 running back, I said Deshaun Jackson was a steal, and I told you to buy low on Michael Vick. Why? Because this is my job. I sweat for you people. I didn't go to 7 years of fantasy football college just to be wrong on the internet. This week's weather report looks to Chicago, where scattered thunderstorms are in the forecast. That could mean a possible delay if there's lightning nearby. And we all know that weather delays lead to the home quarterback throwing 7 touchdowns, right? How do you feel about that, Jay Cutler? Whatever. Charming guy. Buy low on Cam Newton. He's a bona fide fantasy stud who just happened to open the season against Seattle's top-flight defense. In the second half of 2012, Newton passed for nearly 2,000 yards and had 17 total touchdowns with only 4 picks. He's still that player, and you'll see him return to form Sunday against the Bills. Sell high on Julius Thomas. Every year, someone comes out of nowhere and goes off with a huge day in week 1, and fantasy owners scramble to acquire him, only to be disappointed the rest of the year. Now, I like Thomas's skill set and his chances against a Giants defense that gave up 2 scores to Jason Witten last week, but I think you'd do better to flip him for a tight end who's more of a focal point of his offense, like Jared Cook or Jordan Cameron. Those 2 will be more reliable week to week as the season goes on. That's awesome advice. Buy low on Josh Gordon. He was one of RG3's favorite targets at Baylor a few years ago, and he still has 1 more game to serve in his suspension. But he's a big, physical target who was easily Cleveland's best receiving threat last year as a rookie. He should step right in starting week 3 and instantly become a guy Brandon Weeden stares down play after play. The interceptions that might result won't hurt you, and you should put up some nice numbers along the way. Sell on Greg Jennings. I can't even say sell high. Turns out going from Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers throwing you passes for your entire career to Christian Ponder is just a slight downgrade. Who could have possibly seen this coming? Yeah, it's actually been 3 years since Jennings had a 1,000-yard or double-digit touchdown season, and he's not going to turn back the clock in that Vikings offense. Hire Brian Hartline and fire Vincent Brown. Brown got into the end zone in week 1, but his 13 receiving yards were 7th on a Chargers team with no clear hierarchy. Hartline, on the other hand, is coming off a 1,000-yard season where he established himself as a favorite of Ryan Tannehill's. With Mike Wallace stretching the defense deep, Hartline will continue to be a reliable possession receiver this year. Hire Julian Edelman and fire Sidney Rice. I know what you were thinking when you drafted Sidney Rice. Well, he's the Seahawks' #1 receiver. Maybe that's true. The bad news is that the #1 receiver for the Seahawks is generally only good for 3 catches and 45 yards. Drop him and pick up Julian Edelman, who had 2 scores in week 1, and will be Tom Brady's go-to outlet with Danny Amendola out. Man, Amendola injured. Who saw that coming? Hire Carson Palmer and fire Joe Flacco. The Cardinals have 3 very good receivers, 0 good running backs, and they play from behind a lot. This is a team that will throw the ball, and Palmer will put up points as long as he stays upright. Flacco, on the other hand, had 2 interceptions against a defense that was without its top pass rushers from last year. He's inaccurate, he lost 2 of his best receivers from 2012, and the Ravens will be running the ball a lot. Also, I don't like his face. That's it for week 2 of Keepers. Your outdoor activity of the week is one of those charity runs where you pay a bunch of money to wait at obstacles and get muddy. You're so tough! Way to overcome a manufactured challenge. Set your lineups. See you next week.